Ah, hey, ah, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh.
Anishinaabemowin. So this lesson is going to be a little bit different. It's pretty much about the orthography of the language, the way I am writing it and the way I teach it. With that being said, it depends on where you're located, your region. People use different orthographies when teaching the language. Some will use MRO, some will use phonetic style, double vowel. The way I teach it is a little bit different. I learned it from the First Nations University of Canada. And when I'm teaching it, I'm not saying this is the right way and the only way. There are other ways to learn it and to see it and to read it. It just depends on where you're located and how you want to use it. So when I talk about orthography, that just means it's the spelling system. So the way I'm teaching it is through standard Roman orthography. I'll write it down. Also known as SRO. So if you went to First Nations University of Canada and you've taken a First Nation language, an Indigenous language, in Saulteaux Cree, you would know it's SRO, Standard Roman Orthography. In other regions, you'll hear MRO, which is Modern Roman Orthography. And just phonetically, is just writing it how it sounds. And I also do that in my lessons. I'll write it in SRO, and then I'll write it phonetically, just because not everyone knows how to write in SRO. And the eastern provinces, they write with a double vowel system also. So there is no right way, there is no wrong way. We don't have a standardized way of writing, so everyone just writes it how they write it. And it's not fair to say that there is a proper spelling way in our Indigenous languages simply because they were oral languages. And we're only now writing them because this is how we're learning in modern society. So the spelling system that I'm using is consists of 14 letters. So it's not like the English. It's still using Roman letters, but we only use 14 of them. If I don't look at it, I'll forget some of them. So these are the 14 letters that we work with: A, C, E, H, I, K, M, N, O, P, S, T, W, and Y. They represent, these 14 letters represent 18 sounds. So there's not 14 sounds, there's 18 sounds. Did I want to do that? Just like in English, no, not just like in English. Saulteaux has somewhat of a free word order. So like, for instance, in English, the subject becomes before the verb and the object. In Saulteaux, it's different. It can be different. And I'm just going to give you an example of that. So I'm telling you this so you don't think there's only one way to speak in the Saulteaux language. It's not like English. Ni mama kiatuewias. My mom is buying meat. That's just an example. So your mom is your subject. I'll just write it. I'll just show you guys the differences. Actually, there shouldn't be an H in there, sorry. So this is one example. This still means the same. This is still the same sentence. Ni mama kiatuewias. Wias kiatue ni mama. My mom is buying meat. Whereas in English, you can only say my mom is buying meat. You can't say meat is my mom is buying. It doesn't make sense. But for the Saulteaux language, you can mix your sentences up, and it will still mean the same thing. Okay. So I just wanted to show you that. So if you hear someone saying a sentence a different way, it probably still means the same thing. This is just distinguishing that there is no word order most of the time, just like as English. And what else? Okay, we use, I don't want to, okay, so as you can see, we have the 4 vowels. In our language, we can use them in a short sense and a long. So to make it, you'll often see me writing with these little Macrons. And a lot of times when I work with the elders and I start writing like this, they're like, what the heck are you talking about? What is that? We don't understand that. Which is common because not everyone goes to university to learn how to read and write. So I'm teaching you what you're seeing. So like when you see a letter with a Macron, these things are called Macrons. Oh, I did it backwards. They're called Macrons. When you see an A like that, and just a regular A, you see, for instance, anin, anin, apin, anin, apin. So it makes, let's see, kind of like that sound, whereas, and that's a long sound, that's a long vowel. Anin, apin, long and short. Yeah. Anin, apin. Okay.
So like in ni mama, you'd be elongating that A with
Yeah.
the macron over top.
Ni mama.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so for the E, there is no short E. So everything, when you see an E in the language, it's always a long sound. So, Anigons is like this, I guess. A. So when you see the E with the Macron, it always says A. Anigons. Anishinaabemowin. So if you see like an E without a macron on it, it should have a macron on it. Okay? Anishinaabemowin. And then the I with the macron is, it makes the E sound. Yeah. Yeah. That would, yeah, we can use that. I was just trying to see, like here. We us. We us. We us. We us. We us. Okay? So it kind of sounds like Iroquois, I guess. Or, yeah, you can use that. How do you spell Iroquois?
Or Eaton's.
I don't know if I spelled that right. Where a normal I is like inen. Man. We ask inen. And that's short. An O with a macron is a oo sound. Like, what can be an example? Manomen. Manomen. Or mano. Or piton. There's all kinds. But that makes the oo sound. Whereas
Moon.
yeah, like moon or boot. And then there's just the regular O short vowel sound, like
Ho.
hola. No, that's not it.
Good example.
Do I have an example here? Jeez, you. He'll make me pull out my Indian accent. Oh, unakan.
That's pretty funny.
So manomen, unakan. Manomen is rice and unakan is like a plate. Okay. So when you see the little macrons on the words anin, enikons, we as manomen. A, E, I, U. Just to make it a little bit difficult. But once you study this and teach it to yourself and learn it, it's going to come naturally, and it's going to be hard for you to write the language phonetically once you know this.
That's actually how I am. Is that I don't like writing phonetically at all.
Yeah.
Because I learned this.
Yeah.
And I learned this way. So when I write, that's how I write.
Yeah.
Today,
Yeah.
using the SRO. Yeah.
And you would think that writing phonetically is easy, but once this is drilled in your mind, it's hard to even write it phonetically.
Yeah, and further to that too, once you learn that, it's actually easier to read.
Yeah.
Than phonetically. Because you don't know if you're saying the A or the A's phonetically.
Yeah.
How it's written, because they'll often do. This is just me though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think that's what the university, they tried to do, was to make it as simple as possible for second language learners.
Yeah.
to be able to read and write.
Even when you recognize that, you can probably hear it more. You know what I mean? Hear that the long when you hear somebody else speaking. You're probably like, oh yeah, they, you know, I can hear that on that word where I need to put the macron.
Yeah. And the thing with that is our fluent speakers that don't read and write already know this naturally. You know, and then our linguistics come in and they're trying to simplify that for the second language learners. So our writing systems are in no way taking away from our fluent speakers or trying to take over It's just the way we're learning today, and it helps a lot. But when I'll go through that after. So that's our vowels, our short and our long. So when you see the macrons, now you know where those come from. Okay, consonants. So you'll also see these. So you'll see a C with a wedge. Our C in the Saulteaux language is never K. It's always Ch or J. Okay? And I'm just going to show you some examples of that. So, for instance, mi jin. Mi jin. You would say it like, I said it wrong already. It's mi jin. Well, I said that, but I thought it sounded funny. But it sounds like a J sound. Mi jin. Mi jin. It's like to eat. Okay, mi jin. And then if you see
That's my favorite word.
An H before this C, it will be like, this is an example. Pichinago. Mi jin. Pichinago. So if it comes after, you won't always see the, also when we're writing or when we're reading, you won't always see this little wedge. You'll just naturally know that it makes the ch or j sound. Okay? It's not like the C in English. It's either ch or j. But if it comes after an H, it's the ch sound. If it's by itself, it's the j sound. Mi jin. Pichinago.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay?
That's good to know.
Yeah.
See, I would have said mi chin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but it's actually
Mi jin.
Mi jin.
Yeah, mi jin. So always if it's by itself, it's jin, j. Or if it comes behind the H, ch. Okay? An S. These are just like this. Oh yes, okay. So oh no, mixing it up, sorry. Okay, so I'm just trying to make this simpler. Gnose. Gnose. It kind of sounds like the word easy. Gnose. So there's two different ways to say that S sound again. And it has to do with this H again. Wasa. Gnose. Or gnose. It's kind of like a Z sound. Gnose. Wasa. Okay. So this is kind of easy. That's not really a good example. Easy. easy. Well, I guess it is easy. Easy. Genose. And then wasa would be like essay. So if your S is by itself without the H, it kind of makes the Z sound in your nasal. Genose. And wasa. Wasa. Then we have the S with the little wedge. You'll see that a lot too. Again, we have the for instance, basic, 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 treasure, basic.
Pause traction.
Yeah.
Which is actually an S.
Yeah, basic. And then this one is a kind of a good example.
Duck.
Yeah, that's a duck.
I have a funny story about that. Tell you later.
Okay. See sheep. See sheep. See sheep. That H again makes it kind of like a Z sound. Like sh, not a Z sound, sh sound. Ship. Basic, basic, sheep. So this one is kind of more like a Z, basic, sheep. Okay, SH. You'll see H in here. That the H doesn't make the H is doesn't not make the H sound. It just separates vowels. It separates vowels, or it could be like what can be an example of a glottal stop? See, I don't want to get all technical on people here. It's kind of like, what can be an example of a glottal stop? I can't think of one right now.
Niche.
Niche. Niche.
But it's slang.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not an actual word.
No, it's not. So you'll see it's just kind of separating words, separating letters. So when you see an H in our language, it's not the H sound like in English. It's there to separate vowels or to just to kind of stop a word abruptly, kind of. I don't know how to, because I can't think of an example right now. Yeah, or it could be for a voiceless consonant too. But just know that when you see that H, that it's not like your English H, okay? Some examples, like, okay, this is gonna, you'll see, this is just a couple examples. MP together. Ambe. So people often ask me, why are you using a P when it sounds like B? Ambe. So when you're working with in SRO, you would know that that MP sounds like umbrella. It does sound like a B. That MP together will make that B sound. Ambe. Okay?
What does that mean, Ambe?
Come. Ambe ama. Come here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in English, you'd say auntie. In Saulteaux, SRO, onde. Onde. So that NT makes the D sound. So if you're reading in English, you're going to say auntie, naturally. But if you're reading in SRO, onde. Okay? Oninjin. That NC makes that like a G, like up here. Okay. Okay, and this is what I get this from my younger students all the time. I ask them to read about a sentence about tomorrow. So they'll say something like, we wasaya wapunk or wapenk, because that's how it looks when you're reading in with your English eyes. Okay, so that NK, for instance. So they're reading with their English eyes when they say wapa, they're saying wapenk, but it's really wapang. That NK together makes that G sound. This one, which means tomorrow. Wapang.
Yeah,
So you'll hear people say wapeng, just because that's how you write it and read it in English. I think that's pretty much the ones that kind of people question about. That NT makes the D sound, MP, the B, and K, the G sound. Not so much this, because you would know it from your C. So if you see an N and a K, G. So it can be really complex, but if you take your time to learn these, it will get easier. And it does become easier, and it will be easier once you teach yourself. Practice it over and over again. That's if you want to read and write in SRO. If you're planning on going to university, then you'll need to know that, or they'll teach you there too. So that's pretty much that for the gist of SRO and how you read and write in standard Roman orthography. I worked on a few projects where I used a little bit of SRO and a little bit of phonetics, only because I worked with elders, and the elders that I work with, pretty much they just write it how it sounds because they don't understand this. But in the academic world, this is how we would write it, and so it doesn't look all sloppy and all over the place. It's kind of, that's how we would do it. I know some bands stay away from SRO, some reserves. They'll rather go with MRO, and that's fine. I'm not one to argue about this is how you should write. No, this is because historically our languages were not meant to be written. So, and I think we have to acknowledge that too. Okay, can you go up a min?
Hey, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh. Way, yo, ha, ha, hey, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo. Hey, 喂呦哈哈哎呦嘿呦嘿呦。